In today's video, we're diving into Chapter 5, the art market dynamics. In this chapter, we're going to break down the key factors that shake the art market, from the trends that influence value to the players who drive it. Ready to understand how the art market works? Let's get into it. The major trends in the art market. Let's begin by looking at some of the major trends currently shaping the art market. The art world, like any market, is driven by both supply and demand, but what makes art unique is that the factors influencing these dynamics are often intangible. Let's explore some of the key trends that are having an impact. First, we have the rise of contemporary and modern art. Over the last few decades, there's been a noticeable shift in value from classical works to contemporary art. Auction houses have seen record-breaking prices for contemporary artists like Jeff Koons, Banksy, and Yayoi Kusama. As younger collectors enter the market, there's been a preference for fresh, innovative works over traditional pieces. This trend is partly driven by the increasing influence of younger, tech-savvy investors who are more inclined to buy pieces that reflect modern culture. Another significant trend is the growing importance of digital art and NFTs. The digital art world exploded in 2021, with high-profile sales like Beeple's Everydays fetching millions at auction. As digital technology becomes more integrated into our lives, artists are creating works that exist only in the digital realm. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are revolutionizing how we perceive ownership, offering artists and investors new ways to create, buy, and sell artwork. Economic factors and their impact on art valuation. Now that we've discussed the major trends, let's dive into the economic factors that influence art valuation. Just like any other market, the art market is affected by the broader economic environment. However, art also has its own unique set of factors that make its valuation a bit more complex. One of the primary economic factors is the economic cycle. Art is often seen as a luxury good, which means that during periods of economic growth, demand for high-end art can surge. However, during times of recession or economic uncertainty, art sales often decline as buyers become more conservative with their spending. Art investors should be aware of these economic cycles and how they can affect the liquidity of their investments. In addition, interest rates play a significant role in art valuation. When interest rates are low, investors are more likely to seek out alternative assets like art, real estate, or collectibles. Low interest rates make borrowing cheaper, which can lead to an increase in demand for high-value items, including art. Conversely, when interest rates rise, borrowing becomes more expensive, which could cool demand for art, especially in the higher-end market. Another economic factor to consider is inflation. Historically, art has been considered a good hedge against inflation. As the value of money decreases over time, tangible assets like art tend to hold or even increase in value. This has made art a particularly attractive investment during times of high inflation. Lastly, we must also consider currency fluctuations. Because art is a global market, currency exchange rates can impact the price of artwork. For example, a strong US dollar can make art more expensive for buyers in other countries, reducing demand for American art abroad. Conversely, a weaker dollar can make US art more affordable for international buyers, which could drive up demand and prices in the American art market. The role of auction houses, galleries, and online platforms. Let's now turn our attention to the key players in the art market: auction houses, galleries, and online platforms. These institutions play a crucial role in the buying and selling process and can significantly impact the market dynamics. Auction houses like Sotheby's, Christie's, and Phillips are often seen as the most prestigious venues for buying and selling high-value art. Auctions are where record-breaking sales take place, and they provide transparency in the market. Bidders can see how much others are willing to pay, which helps establish the market value of a particular piece. Auction houses also have the advantage of attracting global buyers, which helps to drive prices up, particularly for rare or highly coveted works. But auction houses are not the only players in the market. Galleries play a critical role, especially in the primary market, where art is sold for the first time. Galleries are often the first point of contact between artists and buyers. Many high-profile artists have their works sold exclusively through specific galleries, which can add to the prestige of the artwork. Galleries also provide a more intimate environment for buyers and collectors, allowing them to view pieces in person and engage in more direct negotiations with the artists or their representatives. In recent years, online platforms have emerged as powerful players in the art market. Websites like Artsy, Saatchi Art, and ArtNet have democratized access to art by allowing buyers and sellers to connect globally. The digital nature of these platforms makes them incredibly convenient, and they allow art to be bought and sold in a more accessible and transparent way. However, the challenge for online platforms is to replicate the tactile, sensory experience of viewing art in person. Many collectors still prefer the traditional gallery or auction house experience, especially for high-value pieces. The role of these different players is evolving as the art market continues to grow. Auction houses remain a dominant force in the high-end market, but galleries and online platforms are making art more accessible to a broader range of investors and collectors. As the art market becomes increasingly globalized and digitized, understanding how these institutions operate is key to navigating the market. The psychology of art buyers. Now let's take a look at the psychology behind art buying. Art is not just an investment, it's also an emotional purchase. The motivations behind buying art go far beyond price tags and return on investment. In fact, for many collectors, emotions and status play a huge role in their decisions. First, let's talk about status and prestige. Owning a piece of art by a famous artist like Picasso or Van Gogh can carry immense social status. Many buyers are motivated by the desire to display their wealth and cultural sophistication. This desire for prestige is why certain works of art are valued much higher than others. It's not just about the intrinsic value of the piece, but about what owning it says about the owner. In addition to status, there's also the emotional connection that buyers often feel with a work of art. Sometimes, collectors purchase art because they have a personal connection to the piece, the artist, or the message behind the work. This emotional connection can drive up prices, especially for pieces with deep personal or cultural significance. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, is another psychological factor that affects the art market. When a piece becomes highly sought after, whether through auction or gallery exhibition, buyers often feel pressure to purchase before prices go higher. This can lead to bidding wars at auction houses or rapid purchases in galleries, inflating prices even further. Finally, let's talk about the investment psychology. Some buyers treat art primarily as an investment, which means they are motivated by the potential for profit rather than emotional attachment. These buyers often look for works by artists with proven track records or emerging talents they believe will appreciate in value. Market influencers, key players and their impact. Let's now turn our attention to the key players in the art market. These are the influencers and powerhouses that drive the buying and selling of art, and they play a crucial role in shaping the trends we discussed earlier. At the forefront are auction houses like Christie's, Sotheby's and Phillips. These institutions are the heavyweights of the art market, and their sales often set the bar for what art is worth. Auction houses have a huge influence because they act as middlemen between buyers and sellers, often bringing together high-profile collectors, dealers, and institutions. They also provide the transparency and competitive bidding environment that helps to establish market prices. But auction houses don't just sell art, they shape the narrative around it. The types of art they feature, the artists they represent, and the way they market certain works can significantly affect the demand and value of those pieces. For example, a painting by a relatively unknown artist might see its value soar if it's featured in a prominent auction. Auction houses also have the ability to introduce new artists to the market, which is why collectors and investors often follow their sales closely to spot emerging trends. Art galleries are another key player in the market, particularly in the primary market, where new works are sold for the first time. Galleries have a direct connection with artists, and they often set the prices for new artworks. But galleries do more than just sell, they act as curators and task makers. The galleries that represent an artist can influence how that artist is perceived in the market, and the gallery's reputation can drive up demand for an artist's work. Galleries also often have exclusive contracts with artists, meaning they are the only ones who can sell that artist's work. Then there are art fairs and exhibitions, which have become increasingly important in today's globalized art world. Art fairs like Art Basel and Frieze gather artists, collectors, and galleries from all over the world, creating a marketplace where pieces can be sold, but more importantly, where trends can be established. The buzz surrounding these events can significantly impact an artist's career and their market value. These fairs are also critical in fostering the art community and providing an international platform for artists to be discovered. And don't forget the role of online platforms like Artsy, Saatchi Art, and ArtNet. These platforms have brought the art world into the digital age, making it easier for collectors to browse and purchase art from anywhere in the world. Online platforms have also allowed lesser-known artists to gain global recognition and access a much wider audience than traditional galleries could offer. As online art sales continue to grow, platforms like these will increasingly influence the art market, democratizing the access to art and shifting the dynamics in the process. Ultimately, the art market is not just shaped by the pieces being sold, it's shaped by the players who control the flow of art, set the trends, and bring attention to specific artists and movements. If you want to be successful in the art market, understanding the role these players have in the ecosystem is crucial. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who's interested in art investment. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.